Thank you, Ty. And thank you for Patricia for our reading and Reverend Neer for our peace practice. As we prepare for our speakers today, there will be multiple speakers reflecting on our observation of Juneteenth this week. And I think it's important to um, have multiple perspectives and to welcome these voices as we bring our own perspectives and experiences and observations, our own understanding to our newest federal holiday. So may this be a moment to reflect, to enjoy, and to possibly jumpstart conversations with those in your own lives. And with that, we'll transfer over to Donnie to take over the screen and enjoy. Thank you.
Hello. I'm just going to share the screen with you. See how that black bar won't get out the way there? Move. Aha. All right, I'm Donnie Barnes. Can you hear me? Thumbs up. Yay. I'm going to give you Juneteenth in 5 minutes. I'm just going to give the facts for a change. All right, so I have some slides just to keep it a little interesting so you don't have to look at me. So Juneteenth, Freedom Day for the enslaved people in the United States. Juneteenth celebrates the end of slavery in the United States. It is also known as Emancipation Day, Freedom Day, Jubilee Day, which is my favorite, Juneteenth Independence Day, Black Independence Day, and by statute, Juneteenth National Independence Day. So, ever since July 4th, 1776, the United States has celebrated the 4th of July when the U.S. colonies declared their independence from Great Britain. 89 years later, as the colonies faced their third year of a very bloody civil war, President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, declaring, quote, that all persons held as slaves within the rebellious states are and henceforward shall be free. The news of the proclamation was slow to reach Texas and in some places not at all. But mostly, the news was hidden by slaveholders to preserve slavery as long as possible. While the Emancipation Proclamation had freed enslaved people more than 2 years prior, it wasn't until the end of the Civil War that Union troops had the strength to enforce General Order Number 3 in the once Confederate states. And on June 19th, 1865, Texas was issued to free all enslaved people. This here is a copy of the Emancipation Proclamation. So the Reformation amendments that followed further expanded, it was intended to further expand the freedoms and rights of African Americans. The 13th Amendment had ended slavery in all states, and the 14th Amendment was supposed to provide, I guess it aren't facts, I have my opinions in there, supposed to provide citizenship, due process, and equal protection. And the 15th Amendment was intended to provide the opportunity to vote and hold office. This here is a copy of the original General Orders Number 3. But Juneteenth always held a sacred space for those who have endured the horrors of slavery and racism. Many formerly enslaved African Americans and their descendants continue to celebrate Juneteenth in Texas. Sometimes people make pilgrimages to Galveston in honor of the day. Juneteenth has been an official holiday in Texas, believe it or not, since 1980. This here was one of the first marches of Juneteenth, like a march celebration. I don't know when this picture was taken. And there's the Juneteenth Jamboree, as it's called sometimes in Texas. So, in President Biden's proclamation of the official federal holiday, he wrote, quote, "In its celebration of freedom, Juneteenth is a day that should be recognized by all Americans, a day in which we remember the moral stain and terrible toll of slavery on our country, what I've long called America's original sin, a long legacy of systemic racism, inequality, and inhumanity. But it is a day that also reminds us of our incredible capacity to heal, hope, and emerge from our darkest moments with purpose and resolve." Now, here is a clip from Blackish, a very popular show where you get to sometimes see, inside the heads of Black people in a normal Black family. First of all, are you able to hear it? Well, I got time. I think I know what to do here. Share sound. Watch this.
We do
Thumbs up if you
everything
hear
we
it.
can do to turn down our Blackness.
We're never gonna not have to do that, son.
Look, people are never gonna celebrate something they barely even want to admit happened.
Look, I get that. But at least can we have one day where the country acknowledged it? It would feel like, I don't know, an apology.
Wow. Can you imagine that?
Oh, hell no.
Instead of waiting for an apology, why don't we just do something? I mean, if we want to honor the end of slavery, then we should celebrate Juneteenth.
Wait, that's what Juneteenth is.
We don't celebrate the end of slavery, but you wake us up early on Cyber Monday. You are a bad Black person.
Yeah.
You know what? Not anymore. From now on, we will be Black out loud. Our whole family will celebrate Juneteenth.
All right.
Oh, I know where to buy strawberry soda.
And I'll make a mean red velvet cake.
I'll fire up the grill. That loud and black enough for you?
Yep.
I'll hang up my stocking.
Oh, buddy.
And that was the quick of Juneteenth. Thank you very much.
I got my stocking. No, I can sit it right here. So I'm standing here?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so since we did not coordinate what we'd be talking about, Donnie just spoke about almost everything I was going to talk about. However, I am going to talk about, I'm going to tie Juneteenth, this whole thing into the teaching very quickly, and then I'm going to talk about a couple things. So I am reading from page 307 in the textbook, and it says, think, see, and feel activity. Radiate life. Feel that there is within which is the center and circumference of the universe. The universe is the result of self-contemplation of God. Our lives are the result of our self-contemplations and are peopled with the personifications of our thoughts and ideas. Accept this without question, for it is true. And so I was thinking about how the idea of the idea that is an old idea now, but the ramifications of it are still being present today, that human beings can enslave one another for the desire for power and for greed and all of that, is an idea that as a society some of us, some people decided it was an idea that was time to end. And so what I want to sort of speak to is a little bit of how, as a culture, we tend to have a short memory. Okay, so how many people know the origins of Memorial Day? I'm going to tie this all in if you think I'm going somewhere. Okay, So the origins of Memorial Day is that it was started by formerly enslaved African Americans in the South, in Charleston, South Carolina. So there was a mass grave in Charleston where 260 Union soldiers had been buried in a mass grave. Some of them were African American, some of them were not. And so some of the African Americans of Charleston got together on May 30th and went down. They dug up the bodies, they put them in individual graves, and they marked them. They decorated the graves, and so it became Decoration Day. And they purposefully put it at the end of May because they said all throughout the country everything would be in bloom. Okay, so when you think about Memorial Day today, what do you think of? Barbecues, a 3-day holiday. Are we thinking about where Decoration Day began? So my fear in the second time of the federal holiday of Juneteenth is that Juneteenth is going to sort of devolve into another opportunity to grab our stocking and to get the strawberry punch and to not remember that our ancestors who were enslaved and who endured 400 years of stolen labor so that we could be free today. All of us, because even the people who were the enslavers were also enslaved, because if you're going to enslave people, then you are yourself enslaved. And so I would just like for us to, at least those of us who hear this message, remember that although it's now a federal holiday, and ironically, many Black people don't get a paid holiday on that day because they don't work for a place that allows that. So it's another opportunity for other people to get a paid holiday, and the meaning of it seems to be already getting obscured. And another thing that I wanted to pop in there is that that day, June 19th, 1865, it did not free all the slaves. As Donnie said, only the slaves in rebel territory. It wasn't until December 3rd when all of the slaves were freed. And then, soon after that, there were laws. So the people were enslaved in a place where they were living and working. And then when they were released out into the world to fend for themselves, then they initiated laws that made it illegal to be unemployed. And so they arrested Black people who were not working, and they created a program called convict leasing. So they were put right back into slavery legally. So I just want to remind us that this is a complex story, that Juneteenth is not just another opportunity for barbecues. We can celebrate freedom. I'm not saying not to celebrate freedom, but I'm just reminding us all that, as that cliche goes, freedom isn't free. And we need to remember the sacrifices of our ancestors and to sort of think about our place right here, right now, and what we are doing to ensure that everyone is free. Thank you.
Good morning. And I'm going to tie into Evelyn's a little bit. I'm talking about allyship. Obviously, I'm not Black, so I'm talking about allyship. And we didn't coordinate this, so when I thought about Juneteenth and allyship, I didn't think about the day because I don't believe it's a one-day thing. I believe being an ally is an everyday thing, and it's a practice, and freedom is a practice. Everything is a practice. So I'm going to talk more about my personal story with allyship. For me, becoming an authentic ally started when I was 27 with an organization called Youth at Risk. The organization is now called Unlocking Futures, but that is where I was paired up with a teen mom living in the Bronx. It was a Black-run nonprofit, and most of the staff and mentors were Black. All the teen moms were Black or Latinx. I was very much in the minority, and it was uncomfortable. The head of the organization, Claudette Faison.
GPS signal lost.
That's probably me again.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm trying not to be lost, but okay. I was very much in the minority, and it was very uncomfortable. And the head of the organization, Claudette Faison, loved to talk about race and loved to laugh about white people. And it made me very, very uncomfortable. But staying in this discomfort, I learned two very important things. One, that because I was white, I had lived a life where it was my privilege to go about my life rarely feeling uncomfortable, at least not for the color of my skin. Believe it or not, I did not realize that until then. Number two, it was this discomfort that made me want to stick with this program until someday I felt comfortable. I didn't know how or if it was going to happen, but I knew it was part of the journey. In order to make a difference in this community, in order to get my mentee, LaToya, to trust me, I had to stick around and keep showing up for her and her son despite my discomfort. I don't have enough time to tell you what I learned and how I became part of the family, their family, and an ally even beyond Youth at Risk. I could write an entire book about it, I might, but in this book that I just have written, I have a few poems about that experience to share with you. And you'll see this discomfort and how it evolved. Together. Of all the teen moms sitting in the circle, she looked the most together. Hair pulled into a taut ponytail, lips slicked with mahogany gloss, not sparkling bubble yum pink like the others. Beautiful baby boy bouncing softly on her knee, her eyes meeting mine over her gold-rimmed glasses. We looked away at the same time. She told me later she had felt sorry for me, put me in her top 3, knew they would pair us. No one else was going to pick the white girl. My friend asked me if I knew how to be a mentor. He told me if she was shivering, I needed to give her my coat. Everyone had a lot of advice. None of them were mentors. Well, I was scared I'd screw up. She would rarely show up. I'd call her and ask, "Where are you?" So she thought I was nosy, but I was just sick of waiting in the cold, hostile air. Once I took my mom to meet her. We waited outside her apartment for an hour and a half. My mother thought it was ridiculous to do that for anyone. The phones were flip and not smart back then, so I had to remember to bring a book or a newspaper. The last time I saw her, I waited 3 hours in a Houlihan's on 34th Street. The bartender told me to forget about him. I was looking up from my book, thinking about how long it took LaToya to grab hold of the zip line on our first retreat, how loud she screamed when she strode into the restaurant and changed the air. And this is my second and final poem. Ada Weedo. When someone asks me to describe LaToya, do I tell them the first time she echoed "I love you" back on the platform at 53rd and Lex? Or how she was the Jamaican goddess Ada Weedo, frothing men up just by stepping onto the sidewalk? Or how I'd haul my ass 2 hours from Brooklyn to the Bronx to show her when she wouldn't answer. Her math teacher was not white, she was Jewish. Her son did not go to daycare. It was life, LYFE. Her SAT prep book, thick as a telephone directory, a Christmas present I thought she should be grateful for. The way her skin was always moist with cocoa butter, the smell forever lodged in her history. Her red vinyl belt cinched so tight I thought she might explode. The way her outgoing message played Jay-Z for so long, I was annoyed before we even spoke. It was a test. How much did you like her? How long were you willing to hold on? She is not with us anymore. She is my love. Her son is my godson. and they taught me everything. So, thank you.
Thank you, each of our speakers. And I just wanted to bring to light how this relates to Centers for Spiritual Living and Science of Mind. The effort for CSL Global is social activism, and that is very important. And in this particular case, when I think about Juneteenth, Juneteenth started somewhere as an idea in one person's mind. Somewhere, right? I don't know who it was. I don't know where it happened. But one person said, hey, this is not right. We got to let these people know, right? And as we say, an idea is always created twice, once in the mind and then once in form, as we put it into action. Somebody took notice of what was needed to free people, to let people know in Galveston know that this had happened. One person, and it took on a big effort. This is an example of social activism. One idea, one person, and if it's you with your idea, don't downplay it. There can be a lot of power behind one idea. And as we say in our Declaration of Principles, we believe in the incarnation of the Spirit in all people, and that all people are incarnations of one Spirit. We believe in the unity of life, of all life, and that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. We believe in the unity of all life, and that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. We are all a unique and exquisite expression of the divine. Make your expression known if you have that idea. Thank you.
Now let's hope our technology is still working properly.